might work on the screen. That'd be pretty friggin' cool. The emotes are updated. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lynn from Metalhead Minis, and here today we have Cass. And how do you say your last name, sir?
Suwinski.
Cass Suwinski, who is the owner of Tomb Guardians Miniatures. They have an upcoming Kickstarter on November the 6th. November the 6th is what, a Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's going to be on a Tuesday. What time exactly is it going to start?
1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Ooh, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in Central Time, that would be 12 noon. Ooh, so right during lunchtime. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, how excited are you about this Kickstarter? Talk to us, Cass.
It's a long time coming. We've been planning this for, quite a while, and I'm extremely excited now with only, 4 days, little over 4 days left until we get this kicked off.
Yeah, and has the whole process for you getting everything set up for the Kickstarter been a total pain in the ass? Because I know sometimes trying to wait to get approved on your project and everything is like a whole...
Well, the Kickstarter itself, the Kickstarter site is not very easy to use. It's not very friendly, user-friendly. But the process of getting approved only took a matter of maybe an hour for us to get approved. We're ready to launch.
That's not bad.
We just have to, we just been waiting for the final figures to get done and for the date to approach. So we're like I said, 4 days away.
Yeah, I've noticed that you guys have been knocking out models really quick, which I think is really awesome because, there have been some time, there are quite a few companies that are really good about that actually, or also have gotten better with that because of seeing other companies trip up on that whole thing of, hey, we're getting ready to, do this Kickstarter, and they'll show you a couple of things, but then there won't be too much on there. And so there would be like work in progress, like sketches. Then the Kickstarter ends and then they can't make demand and whatever because they don't have enough stuff already prepared. So
absolutely. Well, that's one of my main drives starting the Kickstarter. And when we decided to do the Kickstarter was one, all the figures that you see for renders, we are or have already manufactured those figures. They're actual metal figures been produced. Mary Prophet has been painting. Sashi has been painting figures. You've been painting a couple of the figures that I have.
I still have more.
So we have all the figures that you see. Is a little bit different than most Kickstarters. We actually have or are in the process of making all the figures and producing the figures. It's not just a render asking people, hey, we want to do a Kickstarter. Here's kind of an idea of what a figure is going to look like, and then maybe we'll produce them. These figures have already been manufactured and produced. So what we are asking people to do for their donation is help us produce the rest of them, distribute those figures, and then we're going to use part of the proceeds for hopefully our second Kickstarter coming in our plans next June and July.
Yeah, that's a good spacing of time in between. It gives you about 7. Well, it'll end in November, so 6 months, about 6 months to prepare for the next one?
About 6 months. We're expecting that the distribution process from the manufacturer, we'll get our figures at the end of December, beginning of January, and then we'll distribute those figures to the people that donate. So that'll give us about a 6-month window for the next Kickstarter. And we have big ambitions for the next one. This Kickstarter, we wanted to produce 34 figures, and actually we delayed the original date by about 2 weeks, and then by doing that gave us a little additional time, and we actually added 2 additional figures, so there's now 36 in this particular collection. But next June, July, we would really like to produce right around 80 additional figures.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, sometimes doing the delaying of releasing a Kickstarter isn't always such a bad idea because, it's better to, knock the date back and delay it a little bit to make sure you have everything right than to, put it together with spit and bubblegum, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And then rush to get your project out. And then there's a bunch of mistakes that are made. A Kickstarter, I'll tell you, Kickstarters have really come a long way, I feel. In the beginning, when people were doing it, people were like rushing to put stuff out and everything, and they're just, as they say, mistakes were made, and now people seem so much better about it.
Absolutely. We have two amazing artists. Bobby Jackson and Jason Weavy are two artists that are creating all our miniatures for us. Bobby is concentrating on the monsters, and Jason has been concentrating on the factions. So those two artists are just amazing people in general, but they do such a great job. And then when we had spoke with both of them and about timing about the original Kickstarter date, they were like, well, we could use a couple more weeks, and that may open up where we could do just a couple more figures for you. And that's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
And that's why we delayed it a couple weeks. And then the audience gets the benefit for our delay, because there's two additional figures that they wouldn't have had access to if we didn't delay it.
No, that makes total complete sense. So we're doing 36 figures this time, hopefully 80 the next time. Everything's going to be delivered out, you said December, January?
Probably January. We're looking January. They'll be manufactured hopefully by the end of December, beginning of January.
Oh, manufactured. Gotcha.
One thing we did, or one thing I wanted to do specific with our company, is everything from packaging to manufacturing our figures is made here in the States. And I know people that live outside the States really don't care, but for myself, my dad worked in the automotive industry his entire life, and I was raised in Detroit, and made in the United States is hard to come by nowadays. So for me, I wanted to make sure that everything was made here in the States. Yes, that costs us a little bit more money because they're manufactured here and not in China. But on the reverse side, I don't have to worry about the possibility of a Chinese company stealing our products. And that was another one of the reasons why I decided to make everything here in the States.
No, that makes sense. I can understand that. People go through different channels for different reasons. So why don't you tell us a little bit, how did Tomb Guardians get started? What made you wake up one day and say, I am going to make a more modernized version of awesome Ralpartha style figures for role-playing games and stuff, and just let's do this thing. What got you started in this?
Well, it's always been a dream of mine to do something like this, but I really didn't think it was going to become a reality. I've always gone to conventions, Origins here locally, here in Columbus, Ohio, and I've been going to that convention for years, ever since it started here, or got transported here. Right. And as my sons got older, of course, he likes the fantasy miniatures, and I've run games usually every year, and my game became very, very popular. And then last year, my son was like, hey, Dad, let's buy a 3D printer. And let's 3D print dungeon tiles, and let's run the game on dungeon tiles instead of using rocks or a map board where you draw a map. Let's 3D print. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. So we did, and then we started 3D printing, and then that became really popular, and people wanted to buy those pieces from us. So we started selling those pieces to people. And then this year at Origins again, the game that we ran was extremely popular. People asked us if we were selling the rules or if we had rules that we could sell, and I was like, no, never really thought about writing them. So I went home. My son told my wife how popular it was, and my wife really was the one that said, hey, why don't you write the rules and set your rules down and develop your game? And I was like, I could do that. So that's how it actually started. So we started writing the rules, and I really didn't realize how much there was and how involved writing rules are. And there's a lot of work to writing rules. It's just not sitting down and writing a book. I mean, there's a lot of work to it. But during that process, I paint figures. I've collected figures my whole life. I've got probably a collection of probably 8,000 to 10,000 figures, not just fantasy, but other genres. But my wife's like, well, why don't you create the figures along with that? And I was like, well, honey, it's really expensive to do that. And she's like, I know, but it's a dream of yours. And that's essentially how it started. That was my wife kicking me in the butt and saying, hey, go do your dream. And that's how it started.
Awesome. That is awesome.
I started writing the rules, and the rules, which are what's going to be released in this particular Kickstarter. We've delayed that another 6 months, and I'll get into that details here in a little bit why. But we've decided that there is 9 different factions within the world that we've created in our rules. Mm-hmm. And that's why the first Kickstarter, we're releasing the dwarves and the vampires. So that's the first 2 of the 9 factions that will eventually be released to the public.
Wow.
So
tell us about the game a little bit. I know that you sat there and you created rules for it, and it's a mini. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the game, Tomb Guardians? Like, what's the objective? Is it like Dungeons and Dragons, or
it's similar to Dungeons and Dragons, but not as complex. What I wanted to do was create a rule system that people could role play, but then could sit down and do an actual dungeon crawl. It's based upon really a dungeon crawl that you can go in and sit down with your friends and play maybe 2 hours to 5 hours, or you can do a multi-day campaign over the time frame. But it's essentially a 25 millimeter dungeon crawl that you can go through a dungeon and have some fun with.
Cool. And basically, I noticed on your website that you have some basically like dungeon crawl kind of. Mm-hmm. Oh God! Thank you for the follow, Commander Root. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. Basically, I noticed that you have some terrain pieces in your. Yes. Does that work in conjunction with the game?
Actually, the terrain pieces, which are Dragon Lock terrain pieces, that is the dungeon. The dungeon tiles that we print, those go hand in hand. So you could, if you go to our website, you could purchase those dungeon tiles and then set up your own dungeon. And if you're a GM, you could set up your own dungeon and play away.
Oh, that's awesome! Oh, that's so cool! Wow. So, when the second Kickstarter happens, are you gonna be expanding upon the 9 factions that you're doing, or are we doing just a few factions first in the first one and then more, and that will be 9 factions? Or
the next plan is to do 3 additional factions.
Okay.
It looks like we're gonna do the Templars, which are humans, the Amazons, which is a female faction. It's an all-female faction, and then the Orcs. The Orcs is the other faction. The way the rules are set up, there's good, neutral, and evil factions, 3 of each.
Okay.
So, sorry, the dog's barking in the background.
No, you're fine.
But that's how it's set up. So there'll be roughly 40 faction figures and then 40 additional monsters that will be released.
Awesome. I remember. Oh yeah, sure.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. So, quick question in regard to something that you and I have discussed. When I did the unboxing video for you of the figures to show everybody what to expect. There was 1 resin figure, and the rest of them were all metal. So for the people who might not, who are just getting caught up on what's going on, can we discuss about the fact that there will eventually be a choice between resin and metal?
Yes. And the Kickstarter will just be released in metal. So everybody that donates will get a metal figure. Eventually, we are going to also release, that was another thing, that when I decided to offer figures, I wanted to offer not just metal. I also wanted to offer resin because a lot of people don't like metal, and vice versa. A lot of people don't like resin, so they like metal.
True.
So we will be releasing next year, in the early part of next year, the resin figures also. So if it's the dwarven wizard or dwarven mage that you like, and you got a metal figure but you want the resin figure, that'll be available to you.
Okay, and those are 3D printed, or are they resin cast,
they're
right?
high resolution. They're high resolution resin figures.
Okay, well these days you got to ask because now because like for example we have Frozen Ninja 3D that also currently has a Kickstarter going on, and those figures I believe are 3D printed. If I'm not
these
mistaken.
Are all poured.
Okay, cool. Now, will there be a price difference between? Now that I'm just asking because remember. Back in the day, pretty much all figures were made out of metal, right? To kick it old school, so to speak. And also to confirm, the metal that you're using, is it white alloy? Am I correct on that? You're using white alloy? Okay. So this is to educate those who are listening because not everybody knows that. So it's white alloy metal, which back in the day, we used to use lead, and then we used rillidium, which was a lead based metal. It was like a mix of metal and like a couple of other things depending. But yeah, now we at first when a lot of the companies started doing resin, it was because metal started getting super expensive to work with for minis. And so resin for it seemed just a little while was cheaper than getting metal. And now it seems to be about the same. Will there be a price difference? And this is just me just asking an honest question, but like, not that it really matters because I understand why it would be more, but will there be a price difference?
The resin, majority of the figures, if you go to the website, will be real close in price. I mean, it may be cheaper for the resin. Mm-hmm. Where there'll be a big price difference is for some of the bigger monsters, like we have a mountain ogre, and because that figure is so big and heavy in metal, it's much more expensive than the resin. So yes, there will be some price difference. The dwarves, if you compare the dwarfs prices for metal versus resin, there's a little bit price difference, but not much.
Okay. No, I was just curious because I was pretty sure people are probably going to wonder about that or whatever. Not that that's, but I mean either way.
I would say you would think that the resin would, when I first started, I thought the resin would be half the cost of the metal. Unfortunately, it's not that way.
It's not that way anymore. Yeah. Yeah, and it was for like a short time. It worked for a little bit, but then I guess people saw that they were able to fetch the same amount, so they were just like, you know what, screw it, let's do it. I get it, it's from a business standpoint.
Yell at them, blame them.
It's honest, right? So, but
one of the things I learned in the production of the figures is you create a figure, you create this figure in a render or a 3D version, and then it goes to the manufacturer, and there's a number of different molds that have to be manufactured and made to get you to a production mold, and that's essentially what costs the money. And with the resin side, there's a whole different, much more expensive molds that have to be used to produce a resin figure, and that's essentially why there's not much price difference. At least that's what I've been told.
No, it makes sense.
But that's what I've been told.
Oh yeah, like for example, I think if I remember right, when Reaper started getting into doing the bones, I could be mistaken. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but like the machine to do their plastic mold injection, because that's what they wanted to do the Kickstarter for, was to be able to get these better machines to do the injected plastic or whatever. I think the machine was like, God, like, I don't know whether it was like they got $500,000 worth of them or if they were 50 grand a piece. I mean, they were just like this ridiculous amount of money. It costs a lot to make stuff now. It's no joke. So guys, for those of you who are on, and I see that there are a few of you watching, it's been kind of fluctuating a little bit, the amount of people in the audience, but if you guys have questions about the figures or about about the characters that are going to be in Tomb Guardians? Because I mean, if I'm not mistaken, these minis can also be used as D&D characters. Isn't that correct?
That's the way I created them. So they're not just for our game that's going to eventually launch next year. These can be used for Pathfinder, D&D, Call of Cthulhu. There's multiple uses that they can use.
Oh, that's good to know that they can use it for Call of Cthulhu. I didn't even think about that, to be completely honest. But so yeah, good call on that. Yeah, so guys, please don't be shy. You know, how about this? What do you think about this? How about the first person who asks a good question, or asks a question about this Kickstarter? Try to think of something different than what we've already been asking. So far, we asked Cass, who is our special guest here tonight. Thank you for being here, by the way, Cass. Is how the company got started, how many figures there are going to be in the first Kickstarter, the fact that there's going to be a second one. We asked about the game, that it's going to be attached to, what the objectives are, and things like that. So how about if somebody asks a good question, maybe we should give them a prize. What do you think about that?
I like that.
Yeah, you like that? We got a couple. We got many here today. What we got here? I have here that my nose keeps itching because it's like a cold season and allergy season. So, anyways, we got Tomb Guardians, a hobgoblin that was sculpted by Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson. Look at this here. Ooh, look at this hobgoblin. So yeah, 25 mil. You said this was?
Yes.
Yeah. So if
28,
you
28.
28. Okay. So yeah. So if you win this figure, you would be getting this before it's even released, before it even comes out on the Kickstarter.
Actually, they will be the first person that has it.
You'll be the first person.
Other than the painters.
Right. Other than us painters. That's true. Cass, you just disappeared. Nobody can see your pretty face.
Uh-oh.
Come back to us, Cass. Come back.
There we go.
Yay, he's back. Okay.
Timed me out.
Yeah, because we got a few people on here, but we seem to have some shy folks. We seem to have shy folks is what's going on here. So let's get unshy, people. Even just say hi. Say hello. What's up? Ask questions. I mean, sometimes I know people, I guess I pretty much covered whatever the main questions would be asked. Oh, here we go. Cat from CK Studios is on. Hi, Kat. How are you? She said she's unshy, and she winked at us. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with. Are you familiar with CK Studios, Cass?
I am not.
So ckstudios.com. Be sure to check them out. Okay. They're well known for traveling around and doing airbrush classes and such. Yeah.
CK Studios.
Do you guys stream on Twitch, by the way, Kat? I mean, I know that you have a Twitch, but I know you check out, hang out with people and stuff, but do you guys have or plan to stream on Twitch at all? At least knowing that, since I see that she's talking to us, I was kind of worried about audio. We love the minis. Here to learn about a new to me one. Oh, great. Okay, well, did you just hop on or you've been on? Because we asked some. Do you have a question, Kat, at all? Let's win you a prize. Come on, do you want to win a hobgoblin? Kat, look at this mini. It was sculpted by Bobby Jackson. You know Bobby because you've come to ReaperCon. Ask a question. Let's ask something really cool. Let's get everybody excited. I've been on for about 5 minutes. All right, 5 minutes is good. So be sure to catch up on the rest of it, though, because we asked... All right, so Kat, so far, I think you already heard me say that we asked how the company got started. This is attached to a game. There's going to be 36 figures released for the first Kickstarter. They're all going to be made of white alloy metal. And eventually, at the beginning of 2019, they're going to give customers the choice to either get the same models in resin or in metal on the website. And then in about 6 months later, they plan to have a second Kickstarter so that they can release 80 more models. Is that?
Roughly. We haven't set the exact count, but that's what we like to do.
And there will be 9 factions total in the game. We're going to have vampires. We're going to have Templars, which are the humans. We're going to have orcs. You disappeared on me, Cass.
Again.
Yep.
Huh.
Why do you keep leaving me? I showered and everything.
So did I.
Okay, so Kat's question was resin an option, and the answer is at the beginning of 2019, starting in the beginning of 2019, resin will be made as an option.
That is correct.
Yes. What size is the range? Okay, we'll count that as a question.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
The dwarves are a true 28 millimeter figure. Humans are based at 32 millimeters. So it depends on the monster and the race. So vampires will be in the 32 millimeter range also. So it just depends on the race and the monster, depending on size. Give you an idea, the ogre, which you can see on our website, and I know Mary Prophet put up some whip pictures that she's pen painting the last couple of days, but that is a 54 millimeter figure. It's a big figure, and he's really cool. He's one of our coolest figures. But the one that nobody has seen yet, which hopefully I'll have later today or tomorrow at the latest, is the last monsters being done by Bobby Jackson, and it is about 120 millimeters total in length, which is about 4.5 inches, and it's the Black Dragon.
The Black Dragon. Oh, dude, I can't wait to see that. Yeah, and that's true. That 54 millimeter model. Mary's been doing a phenomenal job on that, and she's done an irregular skin tone on that model, like a blue troll skin. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. Kat's next question was: are any of the models? And I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Kat, you're asking about the resin figures, I guess, are any of them multi-part?
Good question. Actually, only one dwarf in this set will have a different pose that you can do, and that is the female dwarven crossbowman. She's either holding her scabbard on the side, or you can have her holding a sword. The next release will have multiple characters that will have different weapons, or maybe a weapon and a shield that you can hold, but we have thought about that the next Kickstarter, but not this one.
That's excellent. Okay, Kat, make sure also that you message me and give me a shipping address for where you want me to send your prize. You won a hobgoblin that was sculpted by Bobby Jackson, and you will be the first to have this specific Tomb Guardian mini, besides those of us who have been painting the range. The range rather. So congratulations to you, my lovely Kat.
So I want to interrupt here a little bit. For the Tomb Guardians, we talked about the rules and the different factions. You have mentioned some of the factions, and I'll go over the 9 factions so people get an idea of what they can expect in the future Kickstarters. In this Kickstarter, of course, we have the dwarves, which are a good faction. There's good, neutral, and evil factions. The good factions are the dwarves, the elves, and the Templars. The neutral factions are the barbarians, the Amazons, which is an all-female faction.
Oh, that's cool.
And the centaurs. And then the evil factions, we have the vampires, which again, the vampires are ruled by females. The vampire queen, the mage, and the cleric are female characters, and then you've got the male slaves that follow the queen, and then you have the dark elves and the orcs are the other 2 evil factions.
Oh wow, yeah, that's going to be cool. I'm interested to see how those female Amazons come out. Let me ask you, is Bobby doing those female Amazons?
No, I hired another sculptor for that, and a different sculptor. We're adding a third sculptor to the next set of characters, and he'll be doing those figures for us.
Oh, wow, that's going to be cool. Okay, so I'm really interested to see how those come out, because I know Bobby Jackson does.
You probably know him. It's Patrick Keith, actually.
Oh, yeah, Patrick does awesome work. Well, okay, if anybody knows who knows how to do babes, okay, because, like, you got the bombshell babes. Which, speaking of, actually, he put up a post not too long ago wondering if he should do another Babes Kickstarter. And I didn't get to really follow and see how many people said anything about it. And I think there, or if so, was trying to figure out when to do it or whatever, because, right now, I call it Kickstarter season, because around this time of year, for the last few years, everybody's coming out with a Kickstarter at the same time. In October, and it happens in the summer too. There's like another Kickstarter season that happens in the summer. Like there's a heavy amount of Kickstarters that happen in like I think it's like June or July or whatever. Because I remember one July I spent like $750 on Kickstarters. I know I should be ashamed of myself, but yay for having Patrick Keith on your team. So those girls are going to come out awesome. Bobby Jackson makes some really nice female figures too.
Yes.
Because I have quite a few of his that he's done. He does. All the guys that you picked, they do such phenomenal work. And you picked a perfect person to make your dwarves. Jason Wiebe is so well known for doing his dwarves, and he's great at monsters too.
Actually, when I decided to start looking into producing the figures, I did a lot of research on a lot of the sculptors and who my competitors used and didn't use, and did a lot of research. And I wanted to hire the best people to produce the best figures that could possibly be produced. Because as the years have gone by, and I'm 50 years old,
You don't even look it.
I feel that the quality of the miniatures have gone down quite a bit over the years and got, for the lack of saying, cheap. And I didn't want that. I wanted a figure to be produced that if I'm going to put my name on it, my company's name on it, I would want to buy it myself, and I would be proud of that. And I'm not going to produce something that I didn't like. So detail was very, very important to me, in the amount of detail on the figures. And you can see by the creativity and the amount of detail on all our figures so far is just outstanding. And that's why I decided to go with the sculptors that I did. Is they do a magnificent job, and they produce a great figure, and that's why I chose those particular people. And Patrick Keith will fall right into the group of them, and produce some awesome figures. He produces wonderful female figures.
Oh yeah, he's been at this for like over 20 years. I want to say he's been doing this like well over 20 years. He sculpted not only for Reaper, and not only does he own his company Bombshell Miniatures, he's also put out figures for Dark Sword, and he has also put out figures for Privateer Press. And there were a couple other companies. I just can't think of them off the top of my head, but those are the ones I know of definitely off the top of my head. All the guys you picked are excellent choices, and they've done stuff for awesome, huge companies. And they're hell of a nice. They're great guys too. Very nice people, hard workers.
They're great to talk with. They answer the phone all the time whenever I call. They're easy to talk with. Or if they send over a render or an idea on a figure and I don't like it, they're easy to work with. And I can't say I give them great praises. They're great people.
No, they're honest to God great people to work with. And you know what? That's so hard to find. Just in general. These days, it's just really hard to find people that are... You know what? I gotta say, in this community, though, we're pretty blessed. For the most part, we have a lot of great people. But I just mean in general these days, sometimes it's so hard to find good help, as they say. It's hard to find good help these days. They say. So many people flake out. They'll say that they're going to do something for you, with you, whatever, and then... then you don't hear word one. Kind of like when you're getting ready to move and your friends are like, oh yeah, you need help moving, let me know. Then moving day comes.
Oh, I know exactly, John.
And you're sitting there. Yeah.
I get many requests for people to sculpt for us. And I'm open to looking at pretty much anybody to sculpt. Because, why not look for somebody that... I have nothing against if somebody's just starting in the industry and they're a good sculptor and they just need a break. I'm new to the industry, and I need a break. That's why I did a Kickstarter. So, yeah, I've talked to many people that said, and I'll tell them, I said, hey, why don't you make me this certain kind of figure. You render it, you do it. If we like it, I have no issue paying you for it, and let's see what you can do. And what you say, good help's hard to find. I don't know how many. I mean, I've probably talked to 8 to 10 people, and I've maybe got 1 or 2 renders from somebody. It's just, well, they don't have the time, or they lost interest, and I don't have time for that. And Bobby and Jason, they do what they say, and they do a great job.
Yeah, it's I know life gets in the way for some people, especially these days. I mean, have you ever noticed, I don't know if it's happened with you, but like maybe you've seen with your friends or whatever, like, damn, man, 2017 and 2018 has been a rough year for 2 rough years that for a lot of people. Like, so much has gone on. I mean, I know personally for me this year, shit, I ain't gonna lie to nobody. My year started out like so like, ugh, and now it's ended like awesome, but like even so, like those last couple of years, man, it's just one thing after another, and that's been happening to a lot of people. So I mean, I'm not discounting that fact. So you mentioned how you're new to the industry, which welcome to the family. Congratulations to you on being brave and embarking on this journey.
I need to give my thanks to my wife, because if it wasn't for her saying, "Hey, go do this," I wouldn't have done it. So she has a lot to do with that, and she asked for one thing out of all of it, and I was like, "What do you want?" And she's like, "I just want one thing." And I was like, "What?" And now, my wife is not a gamer. She doesn't play D&D. Now, she'll play board games with the kids and stuff. She goes, "What I want is I want the Vampire Queen to be resembling me." So the Vampire Queen, when it comes out, when Jason's done with it, the gown she is wearing is actually her wedding gown. It's supposed to represent her wedding gown in that fashion. Now, the face doesn't represent her, but the actual figure and the gown pose represents her. So I was like, if that was it, that's an easy request.
And that's like such a super cool idea. And actually, a lot of sculptors, or a lot of people who are, miniature manufacturers, concept artists, and stuff like that, a lot of them have inspiration based on either a movie they like, a story they like, or someone in their life, like for you, your wife, and stuff like that. So I think that is in general, that's just an awesome touch anyway. I mean,
well, one of the levels on the Kickstarter for a donation, if a person donates, they can help create a miniature, either a monster or a faction member, and name that particular figure in the Kickstarter. So they get that option too if they donate.
Oh, that's really cool. Oh, that's good to know. So now we all know that's an option there in the Kickstarter. Super sweet. What have you learned so far being in the industry? For those who are watching, there are some people that always ask us. The funny thing is that it seems that a lot of people sit there and think that when we're in this industry that that there's some glam to it. And I'm just like, there isn't. Like, it's like, no, I pay a ton of bills. Oh, hi, cutie. Oh, she is gorgeous. Who's that?
This is my daughter, Scarlett. She's 3. I'm going to open the door.
Hi, Scarlett. Oh, she is just beautiful.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go shut this door. So, what have I learned? Wow. I've learned a lot. One, I've learned it's not easy. And you have to have patience, which, as I've got older, I think I've lost patience. So you have to have patience, because nothing happens overnight, and especially with the renders and trying to produce the figures, those take time. And that's been the hardest thing for me to realize, that, hey, we need to give it time. Because I've been working on the figures now going on 5 months. And so it's been, you would think, 36 figures in 5 months, you should be able to do that in no time. Well, it takes time. And I've learned a lot. Manufacturing the figures and the process it actually takes to manufacture figures and all the different types of molds to finally get down to a production mold that can be made into a production is quite a process.
Oh yeah.
And lastly, it costs a lot of money.
It really does.
It takes a lot of money to do this, and I didn't really realize how much it took. And it takes a lot of money. And I guess I'm glad I went down this road, and I wouldn't really change what I did, because a lot of the Kickstarters that I've learned out there, talking to a lot of people, is the lack of, when somebody donates, they don't get a product. They get screwed. And that's what I like about our Kickstarter, is all our figures you see on our website. You may see the renders, but all the other figures, those have been produced in metal. They have been produced. They're ready to be manufactured. I just need people's help to produce them and then distribute them.
Yeah, and it costs, but like I said, a lot of people, they don't get it. You know, some people just don't get it, how much time gets put in. Like, they'll complain about pricing for stuff, but there's so much to it that people, like, I'm going to guesstimate right now, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you have in 5 months put out in production 36 models for this upcoming Kickstarter. I am going to guesstimate right now that from that day one that you started 5 months ago, that you have been putting in about 60 plus hours a week into this project. Am I right or am I wrong?
At least.
Yeah. At least 60 plus hours. Yeah, exactly. Because
you never have enough time. As much as I work on it when I get up in the morning or stay up late at night, and I've got a 3-year-old, I also have a 12-year-old son. And after they go to bed, I'll stay up late to work on it, because it's peace and quiet. There's nobody around. You just don't have enough time. You really don't. And that was one of the reasons the rules got delayed until the next Kickstarter. There's another reason. I'm going to get into that here in just a second. Is one, the time, and two, one of my best friends who lives in Switzerland has come aboard on the rules side, and he had some really, really good ideas for the rules. And one of those ideas was to incorporate adventure modules into the rules and offer people to essentially play their own adventure, kind of like the old D&D modules. And we're kind of going to do something similar, but with our rule system, so people can role play, and they'll be their own adventure modules within our world.
Yeah, that's just really awesome. You definitely, I can tell you right now, if you come out with that much stuff in that short a time, then you've really definitely busted your ass on this project and stuff. So, I mean, I definitely hope the best for you, that you exceed your goal. What is your initial goal on this Kickstarter? What's our goal that we're trying to get up for you?
Our initial goal is $25,000 to get $25,000, and I hope that we can exceed that goal. There are some push awards. I call them push awards. There's 6 different levels that if we get to, I think it's 55,000, 85,000, 115, and on up. But every $30,000 increment, there's a bonus figure that everybody would get if we hit those goals.
And those are free. Are they Kickstarter exclusives, or are they
they'll be eventually released on the website, but or on our website. But those are free miniatures. If we hit that, everybody gets. So,
awesome.
So we're hoping that we get to those goals, and of course, like I said, the big one is the Black Dragon. He's the final. He's the big boy. He's at the end.
Wow. Yeah, let's hope we get that dragon. We definitely want that dragon. Kat just said she went to your Kickstarter announcement page and just signed up for notifications.
Thank you.
She will be ready to rock when that time comes. That's awesome. That means she liked your stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You'll get a notification. We send out notifications just reminding everybody. There will be one going out tomorrow, and then there'll be one going out Monday, and then you'll get one Tuesday morning right before it launches at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. Can't wait. That's going to be so awesome.
So excited. And then if anybody hasn't registered, they can go to our website, which is tombguardians.com, and then you can sign up on the homepage, or you can go to the Kickstarter. There's a number of different places you can go. You can also go to our website and look at all the figures that are on there, because they're pretty much all on there except for a couple of the I think there's 4 or 5 vampires Jason's finalizing and finishing up this weekend for us.
Oh wow, I can't wait to see that. Are you part of the group called the Hobby Hangout that's on Facebook?
I am not.
Okay, well, first of all, you need to
going
become a member of that, because there's like, hey Kat, how many members are on there now? Is it like 8,500 now or something like
Wow.
that? That group grew so fast. Anyway, she just said she's posting a link to the Kickstarter page in the Hobby Hangout. So
Oh, thank you.
if I'm
That's awesome.
yeah, so that means around 8,000 people are going to see that. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that, Kat. That is really super duper cool.
That is awesome. Thank you, Kat.
Yeah. So so you're getting a lot of love. You're getting a lot of support there. So yeah, let's hope you get that. So with the 25 grand, the goal that you're trying to meet, that's going to allow you to make more figures. Is that going to allow you to get more? She said that there's about 6,600 in the group. Okay, I thought it was 8,600. Sorry, I got that confused. I must have got it confused with another group, but that's still a lot of people.
That's still a lot of
people. Yeah, right. Still 6,600 more people than saw it 5 minutes ago, right?
All we need. That's what this is all about: getting my name out there and getting the Kickstarter out there so people know. So a lot of people don't know. I mean, if they don't know, they don't know, and they won't be able to donate.
Exactly. So we're trying to be able to make more figures. Are you trying to create a production space? Is that another goal that you have in mind?
At this time, I have no interest in producing our own figures. I have a great manufacturer that's going to do that for us. Now, when they produce those figures, we'll assemble the packaging here at our location and mail everything out from our location.
Cool.
Is that what you're asking?
Because what happens is some people will take Kickstarter money and they'll do things like, okay, not everybody wants to sit there and run their business out of the house. Mm-hmm. So what they might do is, have you ever, I don't know if you have them over there, you probably do in Ohio, but like the business called Cube Storage, where you can either have a storage space or make it a storefront office space. Some people will take some of the Kickstarter money so that they can afford to have that space, so that they could do things like process orders, ship things out, manufacture and whatever. And sometimes that's a goal. So, I mean, some people might be curious about that, if that's one of the goals that you have in mind, or you're just outsourcing everything.
No, we're really not out. The only thing I'm outsourcing is the manufacturing of the figures, and then the marketing pamphlet that's inside the figure itself, with like what tells it has the barcode and tells you what the figure is, kind of like the Hobgoblin has on the one that you have.
Oh yeah.
The little card insert. I guess it's the insert, if you want to call it the insert. Those are the only really 2 things we're outsourcing. Everything else is being done here. I don't want to have that right now. I don't want to have that additional expense of an office space that I'm renting, because I'd rather use that money and produce more figures.
That's fine.
People love figures. I love figures, and I'd rather do that and invest the money there.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just asking because, sometimes people just wonder, what are your hopes and aspirations, and, things like that. So we know that, what is it, the end of next year, that you're hoping to start doing conventions? Is that correct?
After probably July, we'll start. We're looking at going to conventions. The second Kickstarter, like I said, will be June, July. We are planning, this is long term, but a third Kickstarter, which will finalize all the factions, all 9 factions, this time next year, or November or December of next year.
Okay.
Be the third, and then that would finalize the entire line of our factions, and then hopefully all the monsters.
Awesome. So when you do start doing conventions and stuff in your booth, that would be when you're starting to sell whatever already came out in the Kickstarter for retail. Is that correct? Just so that people know what to expect, what to see.
Correct. Yeah. So our goals are Kickstarter 1, Kickstarter 2, and then of those figures, that'll be offered then in the booth with the rule set and the adventure modules. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet, but I'm planning to design our own dungeon pieces, similar to what you see on our line set. We're authorized to sell the Dragonlock pieces, but I want to do our own dungeon sets, not just for dungeons, but all different types of dungeons.
One good thing about with the community too is the ability to sometimes collaborate with other companies, and then in turn you end up helping each other. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because you saying that made me think of a company called Frontline Games, not the one in Cali. There's Frontline Games in Texas. And they actually have a line, a Dungeon Stones line, where you can create a dungeon scene and a floor, and like the one side looks like one kind of texture, and then when you turn it on the other side, it's a different texture. I could send you pictures later, but like perhaps. Because in the end, this could save you money and save the other company, and you collaborated and you both make money. Is the reason why I'm thinking about it. But I'm friends with the owner. They're practically like family to me. But they're the sweetest people in the world, Mario and Melinda. But perhaps maybe a collaboration project might be something to think about in that regard, and maybe come out with a Tomb Guardians edition of that, or
awesome.
I don't know, something like that. If you didn't want to do your own, it could save you time too.
Well, that's one thing I don't have enough of.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and so there's and so that's why a lot of that's why there's times rather that companies help each other out and stuff like that, because that helps and they did a really good job with their Dungeon Stones, so that's why I thought of that. There's also another company called Tabletop Plus, and they specialize in that as well. Terry is a good friend as well, so if you should totally check out their websites, tabletopplus.com, and Frontline Games, I believe it's frontlinegames.net if I'm not mistaken, but they're in Texas. Maybe check out their stuff and I don't know, see if you like it, because that would be really
that
cool.
Information down.
Yeah. What do you call it? What conventions are you hoping to go to?
I haven't looked into it in that detail yet. Of course, Origins, because that's here in Columbus.
Right. That's a no-brainer. Sure.
Gen Con. I would like to go to. That's rather expensive to go there, but the advantage is there's 100,000, 120,000 people that go to Gen Con. So there's quite a few. There's one, I can't remember the name now, the one down in Dallas.
ReaperCon?
Not ReaperCon. I don't think ReaperCon will want me to be there.
No, of course. They take booths for other miniature companies and stuff like that. They have a whole vendor room now. It's on Labor Day weekend. If you're interested in doing that, yeah. Okay, so then it's ReaperCon. I'm sure they'd love to have you.
I haven't looked into the conventions that much because I just really haven't had the time.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. That's why I'm asking you, because that's stuff that I can talk to you about. And actually, in regard to Gen Con, you can actually get with me about that, because I run the paint and take and stuff like that too. So if you wanted to send some models for paint and take, and whatever,
Absolutely.
and you have time, you know what I mean? Because Gen Con is not, I try to make sure that I get the models by I try to get them by May or June, the latest, so that my people can prep them for paint and take.
Okay.
So you have time to think about it, and you can let me know. I usually hit people up about stuff like that, like around the holidays, say New Year's, Christmas, that kind of deal. Because in January, Gen Con starts kicking up and getting things organized. So you have time to think about that if that's something you'd like to do. And that might make it easier for you in case you don't end up getting a spot, especially a vendor spot, because they kind of do a lottery thing also with doing the spots.
I've got good friends that have a booth there, and they go by a point system, and
it's
a whole elaborate thing.
It's right. So unless you share with somebody, it might be a little tough to get you in. But I'm thinking if we can at least get you in the paint and take area or something, like you donate models and stuff for people to paint, and then give us promo stuff to give out, like flyers of your stuff, business cards, whatever you prefer, postcards, I don't care. But that would be a good way to get you out there, get your name out there too, if you can't get a booth there, because I know getting a booth there is stupid tough. Adepticon might be another one to look at. Adepticon takes place in Chicago at the end of March. So obviously, I guess it wouldn't be 2019 for you. It would probably be 2020 that you would be going to it. They have a very nice vendor room, and it is a convention that has a heavy miniature gaming focus. So also by then your game should come out, so you can even do gaming, demos of your game.
That's what we would like to do, one convention a month eventually, to go to one convention a month, and then do tough. A demo setup,
yeah,
and then have our own booth.
Yeah, that would work for sure. Yeah, so yeah, those are the ones that I know that are very heavily miniature concentrated. Is Adepticon, definitely ReaperCon 2, and then like I said, Gen Con, we have an area of it that does that and stuff, and we are trying to make miniature game people more aware of miniature gaming and other conventions too, like at Comic-Cons and stuff like that. So you might start, because I've been asked to hold conferences with people with Comic-Cons in regard to that, so hopefully we might end up seeing more stuff about that. Oh yes, thank you, Kat. Kat mentioned that Nova Open, which is on the East Coast by you.
That's in Boston, isn't it?
No, it's not Boston. Kat, where's Nova again? Isn't that like Virginia, if I'm not mistaken? I think it's like Virginia or DC. It's like in that area or something. And that's Labor Day weekend as well. Labor Day weekend in Virginia, she just said. Yeah. So Nova Open, yeah, they do stuff just outside of DC, she said. They do stuff with miniatures. I never had a chance to go to Nova yet because something was always conflicting at that time. And now it's, it's at the same time as ReaperCon. And ReaperCon is going to be on Labor Day weekend also for the next 5 years. Because they signed on for another few years with that venue. So now they're going to be doing it for a total of another 5 years on Labor Day weekend. But, I mean, if you end up having people work for you, you can probably do a booth at one, a booth at the other, depending on how well you're doing. I don't know, just something to think about, food for thought. And then Dragon Con, I believe, is another one that happens Labor Day weekend. That is located in Atlanta. I know there's 4 cons Labor Day weekend. It's pretty crazy.
I just have to make a couple more myself.
Right, and that, see, you look at you always thinking. So yeah, so that's another one. Dragon Con in Atlanta. They have miniature related stuff too. They have a paint and take. They have a painting competition over there. Kat just said on the West Coast on Memorial Day weekend, which would probably be easier for you to do in the Bay Area in California, is KublaCon. KublaCon spelled KUBLACON. And thank you for reminding us about KublaCon, Kat. They have about 3,500 to 5,000 attendees.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So KublaCon, so that's another one I never had a chance to go to yet. But another one, LVO. LVO is in February. First week, I believe, first or second weekend. No, I think they're doing it second weekend because first weekend is usually the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now they tried to move it to the second week. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think they tried to move it to the second week because and all the Sunday stuff, when they try to give the awards, nobody's
there.
And nobody's there. Everybody's at the bar watching the Super Bowl. So they're just trying to give everybody awards for the tournaments and everything, because they hold a shit ton of tournaments throughout that event. And they're just where the hell is everybody, And the award goes to Bob. And they're like, Bueller, because nobody's freaking there,
That's funny.
So yeah, this year LVO is February 8th to 10th. So if you feel like spending a weekend in Vegas, we will be there.
Oh, twist my arm.
Yeah, I know, right? Go to Vegas for a weekend.
Hey, babe, I just tell my wife, honey, we're going to go to Vegas to go to a convention. You want to go?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, we all know that Vegas can be expensive, when it comes to getting food and all this other stuff. But I'm thinking that since you do plan to do conventions in about a year, I think that if you are able to spare a weekend here and there to check out some conventions, I don't think it would hurt for you to get your feet wet, because getting a flight to Vegas usually doesn't tend to be, way expensive or anything. So, I mean, usually that's good there. And then, just try to eat outside of the casinos on the cheap, or something like that. Or eat at, what is it, Circus that usually has that cheap shit buffet or whatever? Something like that,
man. There's a lot of buffets there.
Yeah, dude, but a lot of them are $25, $50. Yes. There's one that's $75, but the food is good. Yeah, dude, no joke.
$75?
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. So I mean, it's expensive, but you know it couldn't hurt for you to get your feet wet, kind of check it out and whatever, and see if that's something you'd want to do. Another way you can get yourself out there is the teachers. Like I teach classes, and Mary's usually pretty shy about teaching classes. I wish she would teach classes, but I could tell you that Kat and Caleb, Kat's the one that's here with us, they teach classes too. So probably if there were like a few minis you wanted to, you know, throw for that or something like that, get them in classes, that's a good way for people to see your stuff too.
That's great. I'll get you their information after from you.
Mm-hmm.
Because hopefully here in a month I'll have more miniatures than I'll know what to do with.
Exactly. I'm choking to death. Water went down the wrong way.
You like that figure so much, made you choke. I'm kidding.
No, that's fun. Yeah, so Kat is teaching classes for the wives. Which class is it that you're doing again? I think she's doing acrylic pouring. She did it. You did acrylic pouring last year, didn't you, Kat? If I'm not mistaken. You ever do acrylic pouring or your wife?
Never. No.
It's really fun. It's like you have cups and you have acrylic paint and some. Oh yeah, she's doing acrylic pouring and dot mandalas.
Oh.
You know what mandalas are, right? They make.
No, I don't. I don't mean to sound dumb, but I have no idea.
Mandalas are like if you sit there and see those relaxing coloring books that everybody's doing now, a lot of them are all mandalas. They're all like little designs that create patterns.
I know what you're talking about.
Flowers
exactly
or geometric shapes, things like that. Yeah,
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah. So so yeah, she found a way to do it with little circles, and I honestly don't know what what are they made of, Kat? Those circles that you're doing them on, and then she has you do with acrylic paints the dots of mandalas. And my friend Yeji did it. She's another painter too from Snickernack Studios. If you want to check them out, Yeji and Clint are such sweet people. They'll definitely be at LVO because they're local. And she started doing the mandalas and stuff. And she said it's so relaxing. And Kat said it was relaxing too. So she's teaching that and teaching acrylic pouring. And she said she also has mimosa sip and pour in the mornings, Friday and Saturday. Oh, so if wifey wants to do sip some mimosas, now we're really twisting your arm. Am I right?
You know, she would be right there with you, but we found out last week that we're expecting our third child, so she's going to be passing for the next 8 months. So.
Yay! Congratulations! That's such amazing news. I'm so excited for you. And me.
Yeah, I am too.
I can't have the mimosas, Kat, because I'm on keto. I don't have no sugar, and I don't eat any carbs. And I lost 50 pounds so far.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I lost 50 pounds since May. Since the beginning of May so far. Yep. And I'm trying to lose about 60 more. 50 to 60 more, depending, because, I mean, I'm old. I'm almost 40 now, so you know the when you lose weight, like I might not be able to be. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Zach. My friend Zach is on here with us too, and when you're almost 40, your weight requirements are a little different. Like before I gained all this weight, I was like 135 pounds, a size 6. I was so tiny, and when you're older, you got to be a little bigger. So I started by making my goal weight 150 pounds. So we'll see how that goes. So no more mimosas for me, but it's
Maybe
worth
eventually.
it. Maybe eventually, but I mean, yeah, you could cheat like rarely, but I haven't cheated at all because I know me, and I know if I sit there and all it takes is for me to have like I don't know, like a regular piece of cake or something, and then next thing you know, I just fall off the wagon, and I just don't want that to happen. So I have not really cheated at all. I had champagne on Halloween, and that was honest to God it.
That's awesome.
So
you
yeah,
have much more willpower than I would.
that's what everybody says. They're like, "Oh my God!" So the whole time you haven't cheated at all, and I'm like, "Nope, I haven't." I just had a couple of sips of champagne, a couple of days ago, for the wedding, and that was That was it. Like, I just, that was all I did. It was like, all right, thanks, great, bye. Ain't cheating no mo. And then everybody else was just like, beer, drinking their ass off. But I can have whiskey, so I still have my Jack Daniels. So it's all good. So Cass, before we let you go, why don't you tell us how everybody can find you? We know that we go to tombguardians.com. That's all one word, right? There's no hyphens in between, all that good stuff.
Hyphens. No, it's tombguardians.com on the web. You can also go to tombguardians.net, same site.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't know that.
You can find us on Facebook and also Instagram under Tomb Guardians.
And it's all written the same way, all one word.
Same
There's
way.
no, because you know how it is with Instagram.
Yep, it's Tomb, T-O-M-B, Guardians, Guardians.
Awesome.
.com.
All right, so yeah, November 6th, people, be sure to be there or be square. Does anybody have any questions for our friend Cass before we let him go? He has kids.
I can answer anything.
Yep, I don't want to keep him for 5 hours, no nothing, even though we've been having a good time. Yes, that is correct, Zach. TombGuardians.com. You typed it right. He typed it correct in the chat. He was just confirming.
Gotcha. I tried to turn on Twitch and it was double feeding, so I had to shut the one off. So.
Oh yeah, what I do is I have it on my desktop computer, but yeah. So what I did was I muted it though. I muted the Twitch itself, so that way it doesn't double repeat on the audio. So yeah, for those of you watching, I had to end up getting real creative with doing this stream. This morning I start doing testing for everything. And my Skype, Cass and I weren't able to get Skype fully working with both of us communicating. And my Streamlabs OBS on my laptop here was working just fine in the morning. Then I went out with family, came back in the afternoon, and I was like, all right, let's try to test this out, blah, blah, blah. And then I tested everything out on Skype. Because Cass wasn't able to hear me earlier today, and I was able to and I tested everything on Skype, and Skype said everything is functioning properly. I did a test call, all this other shit. But then my Streamlabs OBS was not working at all. It was freezing. I couldn't click on anything. And then supposedly, to top it off, it told me, hey, we lost all your layout information. So I might have to redo the whole Metalhead Minis Twitch channel layout all over again. Oh, joy, okay? So now what I had to do in order to give you what I promised you and make this work is I have Cass on my laptop. I am streaming this through Streamlabs on my iPhone 10 through my phone. That's how you're getting this on Twitch. And I have my desktop computer on in front of me inside the shop here. So I have a cell phone going and 2 computers. And the desktop has the Twitch channel up on mute, so that way I can make sure that I fully see the chat box, and if any new people follow, subscribe, or what have you, so I can properly thank everybody and make sure that I see everything. And so yeah, you see 3 things going just to give you this one stream.
I appreciate you having me, Lynn. I appreciate everybody that came to the Twitch for our questions and answer session. I appreciate that. And all you've done for us. And we'll hopefully send you some more figures in the near future and get some figures for Gen Con so you guys can demo and paint those over at Gen Con for us. And we'll talk more about the different conventions because we would like to, like I said, go to one convention a month here in the near future. Not so, I guess it's not so near, but within a 9-10 month time frame. And like I said, one of my best friends, he lives in Switzerland, and he's come aboard and pretty much taken over the rules section of the rules for Tomb Guardian. He's got some really, really great ideas for adventure modules and adding his twist to the game. So that's our near future plans for conventions.
That's super awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you end up doing. I can't wait to see how this Kickstarter ends up coming up. And I hope that you hit all of your stretch goals, all the goals that you want to hit. We sincerely,
that would be great. I hope so.
yeah, we sincerely wish that for you. We'll definitely be sharing.
If we hit all our stretch goals, there may be more than 80 figures on the next one.
Oh well, yeah, that would definitely make sense for sure. Yeah, so we would definitely wish you all the luck in the world. We'll definitely share the crap out of your stuff when you go through and do the Kickstarter. And I have a few more models of his that are all prepped and primed and ready for paint. So I'll probably be painting some of those for you guys on stream now that things are a little more settled. I'm moved. Everything with the shop is up, and we're starting to get a flow going, so I can start doing more streaming again and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's about it. That's about it that we got for you for tonight. Thank you so much, Cass, for being on with us today.
Me.
Yeah, if you guys have any additional questions, you guys know how to get in touch with Cass. You can also, when the Kickstarter starts, if you're on Kickstarter, and have a login to get in, you can always ask questions in the comments. Is that correct? Is that you're all good with that and
well,
stuff?
Actually, no. I set up a blog. Actually, they can go in and ask questions on the blog or post comments on the blog. Jason Weed will, if you send him a question, or want to know something about him, he can post there, and if it's directed to him, he'll answer it. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's good to know too. See, so you guys have ways to get in touch if you have any additional questions or some questions come up in the future. But yeah, so have yourself a wonderful night, Cass, and thank you everybody for being on with us tonight. And you guys have a wonderful night as well. And yeah, so be there November 6th, Tuesday, November 6th for the Tomb Guardians Kickstarter.
Thanks, Lynn. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.